You only notice your body when it starts failing. Most people have a strange relationship with their body. You probably do too. You expect it to work. You expect energy when you wake up, focus when you need to work, motivation when deadlines appear, sleep when the day ends. And when those things stop happening properly, you call it a problem. But what most people never realize is this: your body was already struggling long before it became obvious. The exhaustion didn't begin the day you burned out. The anxiety didn't appear overnight. The brain fog wasn't random. The constant tension in your shoulders didn't suddenly materialize. Those things usually build slowly while your body tries to compensate quietly in the background. That's the part people miss. The human body is designed to adapt first and complain later, which sounds useful until you realize adaptation can hide damage for years. You can survive on poor sleep for months. You can function while emotionally overwhelmed. You can push through stress so often that stress starts feeling normal. And because you are still technically working, you assume everything is fine. But functioning and being healthy are not the same thing. A lot of people are not actually okay. They are simply adapted to overload. You see this everywhere. The person who drinks caffeine just to feel normal. The person who wakes up tired every day and thinks that's adulthood. The person who cannot sit in silence anymore because their nervous system is constantly overstimulated. The person who says, "I'm just busy," while their body is running on survival mode. Modern life rewards this behavior. People praise endurance, availability, grinding, pushing through exhaustion. But your body does not care about social validation. Your biology still keeps score. That's why someone can look productive on the outside while internally deteriorating. And eventually, the body stops negotiating. That's usually when people finally pay attention. A panic attack, chronic fatigue, insomnia, emotional numbness, health scares, burnout so deep that even small tasks feel heavy. Then people say, "I don't know what happened," but the body usually gave signals long before collapse arrived. The problem is that quiet suffering is easy to normalize, especially when everyone around you is exhausted too. You start thinking, maybe this is just life. Maybe everyone feels this way. Maybe being constantly tired is normal. But normal and common are not the same thing. A phone overheating is common. That does not mean overheating is healthy for the phone. The same thing happens to people. You can normalize stress simply because it is widespread. One of the biggest mindset shifts you can have is realizing that your body is not a machine built for endless output. It is a living system constantly trying to maintain balance. Every decision affects that balance. Sleep, food, stress, movement, environment, relationships, thought patterns, workload, stimulation, rest. Your body responds to all of it whether you consciously notice it or not. And the strange thing is, most people only become aware of their body once the body interrupts their plans. When sleep breaks, when energy disappears, when anxiety becomes impossible to ignore, when motivation collapses, when health problems force attention. Until then, many people treat the body like background equipment, something to drag around while the mind focuses on goals, pressure, productivity, and survival. But your body is not separate from your life experience. Your energy affects your thinking. Your nervous system affects your emotions. Your sleep affects your decisions. Your stress affects your relationships. Your physical state affects how reality feels to you. This is why two people can live in the exact same environment and experience life completely differently. One person feels grounded. Another feels constantly overwhelmed. Different nervous systems, different recovery states, different levels of internal stress. Your body shapes your perception more than you think. And maybe this is the deeper realization underneath all of this. Your body has probably been protecting you quietly for years while asking for far less credit than it deserves. Even after sleep deprivation, even after stress, even after emotional overload, even after neglect, it kept adapting, kept compensating, kept trying to stabilize you. Not because you earned it, because survival is literally its job. But survival and thriving are different things. A person can survive while disconnected from themselves for a very long time. That's why awareness matters. Because once you begin noticing your body earlier, before collapse, before burnout, before numbness becomes permanent, your relationship with yourself changes. You stop seeing rest as laziness. You stop glorifying exhaustion. You stop treating stress like a personality trait. You stop waiting for catastrophe before taking yourself seriously. You begin understanding something most people learn too late. The body whispers for a long time before it finally screams. Your body has been protecting you longer than you realize. One of the strangest things about being human is that you rarely notice what is working well. You notice pain. You notice problems. You notice interruptions. But you usually do not notice the thousands of things your body successfully handled before you even woke up this morning. Your heart kept beating while you slept. Your lungs kept pulling in oxygen automatically. Your immune system kept scanning for threats. Your brain processed information from the previous day. Damaged cells were repaired. Hormones adjusted themselves based on stress, recovery, light exposure, and sleep quality. You were unconscious for hours, but your body stayed fully employed. Most people never think about this. They experience their body almost like a tool, something that should obey commands without resistance. Be productive. Stay focused. Keep going. Do more. Sleep later. And when the body stops cooperating, frustration appears immediately. But your body is not malfunctioning simply because it has limits. Sometimes the exhaustion you feel is evidence that your body has been protecting you for too long without enough recovery. That changes the way you interpret fatigue. A lot of people see tiredness as weakness, or laziness, or lack of discipline. But fatigue is often communication. Your body is saying, I cannot continue operating at this pace without consequences. That does not mean every moment of tiredness is serious. Human beings naturally fluctuate, but chronic exhaustion is different. When someone constantly feels drained even after resting, struggles to focus, loses emotional stability easily, or feels detached from life itself, the issue is often deeper than motivation. The body may have spent too long compensating for stress that never truly stopped. Think about how people treat warning lights in a car. If the engine warning light turns on, most people understand something needs attention. Ignoring it for months would feel irresponsible. But people do this to themselves constantly. Headaches become normal. Poor sleep becomes normal. Constant tension becomes normal. Digestive problems become normal. Emotional numbness becomes normal. Not because these states are healthy, because adaptation makes them familiar. This is one reason modern people struggle to recognize burnout early. The decline feels gradual enough to normalize. A person does not suddenly wake up destroyed. Usually, they slowly become disconnected from themselves. Less energy, less patience, less emotional resilience, less presence, less clarity. But because life continues moving, they keep functioning mechanically. Wake up, scroll, work, consume, distract, repeat. Eventually, survival mode becomes identity. And this is where many people misunderstand the body completely. Your body is not trying to sabotage you when it becomes exhausted. It is trying to protect you from exceeding what it can sustainably handle. Stress itself is not the enemy. The body can handle short-term stress remarkably well. The problem is unresolved stress with no meaningful recovery. Imagine pulling a rubber band repeatedly. Stretching it occasionally is fine. That is what it was designed for. But if you keep tension on it constantly, eventually it loses flexibility or snaps entirely. Human beings are not very different. Your nervous system needs cycles. Effort and recovery, focus and rest, challenge and safety. Without recovery, the body stops feeling safe internally. And when the body does not feel safe, everything changes. Sleep quality drops. Thinking becomes foggy. Emotions become unstable. Small problems feel overwhelming. Patience decreases. Motivation becomes inconsistent. People often blame themselves morally for these states. They say, I need more discipline. I'm just lazy. I need to push harder. But sometimes the real issue is that the system itself is overloaded. You cannot endlessly override biology with self-criticism. And this becomes especially important for ambitious people. The people who push themselves hardest are often the most disconnected from the signals their body sends. Because high-functioning people learn how to ignore discomfort efficiently. They can work while exhausted, perform while anxious, produce while emotionally depleted, and society rewards them for it, until the body forces a stop. That is why some of the most outwardly successful people privately feel empty, exhausted, detached, or emotionally unstable. The body can maintain performance for a long time through stress hormones and survival adaptation. But eventually, the cost appears somewhere. Health, relationships, mental stability, motivation. Presence. Joy. This is why awareness matters more than intensity. You do not need to become obsessed with health. You do not need to fear every symptom. You do not need to optimize every habit perfectly. But you do need to stop treating your body like an enemy that exists purely to produce output. Because whether you acknowledge it or not, your body has been protecting you your entire life. Every time you recovered from sickness, every time stress could have broken you completely but did not, every time exhaustion forced you to slow down before something worse happened, your body was not betraying you in those moments. It was trying to keep you alive long enough to recover. And maybe one of the most mature realizations a person can have is understanding this. Your body is not demanding perfection from you. It is asking for cooperation. Why you can feel fine while slowly burning out. One of the most dangerous things your body can do is help you function too well under stress. Because if you completely collapsed the moment life became overwhelming, you would immediately recognize something was wrong. But that is not how the body usually works. Instead, it adapts. And adaptation is deceptive. You can still wake up, still answer messages, still go to work, still laugh at jokes, still post online, still hit deadlines. Meanwhile, internally, your system may already be overloaded. This is why so many people confuse survival with health. They think, I'm still functioning, so I must be okay. But functioning is a very low standard for well-being. A person can function while emotionally disconnected, function while chronically stressed, function while physically exhausted, function while quietly depressed, function while running almost entirely on stimulation and pressure. Human beings are extremely adaptable. That is both a strength and a trap. Imagine carrying a heavy backpack every day. At first, it feels uncomfortable immediately. Your shoulders ache, your back feels strained. But after weeks or months, your body adjusts enough that the weight starts feeling normal. The weight did not disappear. You adapted to carrying it. Stress works similarly. When pressure becomes constant, your nervous system stops treating tension like an unusual event. It starts treating tension as baseline reality. This is why many people no longer recognize when they are stressed. They only recognize moments when stress becomes unbearable. And because modern life keeps people distracted constantly, many never slow down long enough to notice what their body is trying to communicate. There is always another notification, another video, another deadline, another source of stimulation. Silence has become uncomfortable for many people because silence removes distraction. And without distraction, people finally notice their exhaustion. That is why some people suddenly feel emotionally overwhelmed the moment they stop working or finally take a vacation. Nothing new was created in that moment. The body simply stopped suppressing what had already been accumulating. A lot of burnout is delayed awareness. The body absorbs pressure quietly until there is enough space for the damage to become visible. And unfortunately, many high-performing people unintentionally train themselves to ignore internal signals. They become rewarded for self-neglect. The student who sacrifices sleep for achievement gets praised. The employee who works nonstop gets promoted. The creator who constantly produces gets attention. The parent who never rests gets admired for being strong. From the outside, this behavior looks disciplined. Internally, it can become deeply unsustainable because the body keeps paying the cost even when society applauds the outcome. This is important to understand. Your body does not separate emotional stress from physical stress as cleanly as people think. Worry affects sleep. Poor sleep affects hormones. Hormonal imbalance affects energy. Low energy affects emotional resilience. Emotional instability creates more stress. Everything connects. The body is a system, not isolated parts operating independently. That is why prolonged stress changes how reality feels. Small tasks become heavier. Patience becomes thinner. Joy becomes weaker. Concentration becomes harder. Rest no longer feels restorative. And over time, many people begin blaming themselves for symptoms that are actually signs of overload. They say, I'm becoming lazy. I lost my discipline. I just need to try harder. But constantly overriding your body eventually damages your ability to feel motivated naturally. Because motivation is not purely mental. Your brain is biological. Your emotions are biological. Your energy is biological. If the system is exhausted, everything becomes harder to access consistently. This is also why burnout feels so confusing. People expect burnout to look dramatic, but often it looks ordinary. You stop feeling excited about things you once cared about. You procrastinate more. You feel emotionally flat. You become irritable over small inconveniences. You stop feeling fully present in conversations. You feel tired no matter how much you rest. Nothing looks catastrophic from the outside. But internally, the system has been under pressure for too long. And maybe the hardest part is this. You can become so adapted to survival mode that peace itself starts feeling unfamiliar. Some people genuinely do not know how to relax anymore. The moment life becomes quiet, their brain searches for stimulation automatically. Phone, noise, work, scrolling, anything to avoid stillness. Because stillness often reveals what constant activity was covering up. This is why awareness matters so much. Not because you should obsess over every symptom. Not because you should become afraid of stress. But because you need enough honesty to recognize when your body is no longer recovering properly. And recovery is not just sleep. Recovery means moments where your nervous system no longer feels under attack. Moments where your mind is not overloaded constantly. Moments where your body does not need to stay hyper-alert. Moments where you can exist without performing. A person who never truly recovers eventually starts confusing exhaustion with identity. They stop saying, "I feel burned out," and start believing, "This is just who I am now." That is the real danger, not sudden collapse. Slow disconnection becoming permanent. The dangerous lie of "I'll rest later." One of the most common forms of self-destruction sounds responsible at first. I'll rest later. Not forever, just later. After this project. After this deadline. After this stressful season. After things calm down. The problem is that for many people, later never actually arrives. Because life keeps generating new demands. There is always another obligation waiting to replace the current one. And if you build your entire relationship with yourself around delayed recovery, eventually your body starts operating with a permanent deficit. This is how many people slowly disconnect from themselves without realizing it. They treat recovery like a reward instead of maintenance. Something earned only after productivity. Something deserved only after exhaustion becomes undeniable. But your body does not understand modern productivity culture. It understands energy availability, stress load, recovery time, sleep quality, environmental safety, nervous system regulation. That's it. You can intellectually convince yourself that pushing harder is necessary. Your biology still pays the cost. And the difficult truth is this. Your body can tolerate temporary imbalance surprisingly well, which is exactly why people get trapped. You can sacrifice sleep for a few nights, ignore stress temporarily, work beyond your limits occasionally. The body adapts short-term because survival matters. But many people accidentally turn emergency behavior into lifestyle behavior. That is where the damage begins accumulating quietly. Think about how people use their phone battery. Most people understand that constantly running a phone at 2% battery is unhealthy long-term. The device overheats. Performance drops. The system becomes unstable. Now imagine living psychologically the same way. Always mentally overloaded. Always emotionally stretched. Always sleep-deprived. Always stimulated. Always recovering later. At some point, the body stops fully recharging. And many people do not notice immediately because survival mode creates artificial energy. Stress hormones are powerful. Adrenaline can make exhaustion temporarily invisible. Pressure can create temporary focus. Urgency can override fatigue. This is why some people become addicted to pressure without realizing it. They feel most alive when stressed because their nervous system has adapted to constant stimulation. Calm feels unfamiliar. Rest feels uncomfortable. Stillness feels unproductive. And eventually they stop knowing the difference between genuine energy and stress-driven activation. That distinction matters more than most people realize. Real energy feels stable, clear, grounded, sustainable. Stress energy feels urgent, reactive, restless, temporary. The problem is that modern environments reward stress energy constantly. Fast responses, constant availability, continuous output, infinite stimulation. So people keep overriding recovery because the world keeps rewarding immediate performance until the body starts demanding payment. And the body always collects eventually. Maybe not immediately, maybe not dramatically, but eventually. Sometimes it appears physically: fatigue, insomnia, illness, chronic tension, digestive problems. Sometimes emotionally: irritability, numbness, anxiety, lack of motivation, emotional instability, sometimes cognitively, brain fog, poor focus, mental exhaustion, indecisiveness, lack of creativity. People often experience these symptoms separately without recognizing the underlying pattern. But the pattern is usually simple. The system has spent too much time under pressure without enough recovery. And what makes this cycle especially dangerous is how socially accepted it is. Many people bond over exhaustion now. Being overwhelmed becomes normal conversation. People joke about burnout. Sleep deprivation becomes a personality trait. Stress becomes proof that your life is important. But normalization does not remove biological consequences. A person can become deeply disconnected from themselves while appearing completely functional externally. This is why some people eventually reach moments where they suddenly break down emotionally over something small. Not because the small event caused everything, because the system was already overloaded long before that moment arrived. The breakdown was delayed, not random. And maybe one of the hardest realizations for ambitious people is understanding this. You cannot endlessly postpone recovery without eventually damaging the quality of your life experience itself. Because eventually, you stop merely feeling tired. You stop feeling connected. Connected to your work. Connected to other people. Connected to your emotions. Connected to yourself. Everything starts feeling mechanical. You continue performing, but presence disappears. And this is usually where people start asking deeper questions. Why do I feel empty even when I'm productive? Why does rest not feel restorative anymore? Why do small things overwhelm me now? Why do I feel emotionally flat all the time? The answer is often less mysterious than people think. The body has been surviving for too long without enough genuine recovery. And survival mode changes how life feels from the inside. That is why rest is not optional maintenance for weak people. It is biological protection against becoming disconnected from your own humanity. The mature goal is not avoiding all stress. That is impossible. The real goal is building a life where recovery is normal instead of postponed indefinitely. Because a body forced to survive constantly eventually forgets how to feel safe. Your body keeps score even when your mind avoids it. One of the most uncomfortable truths about being human is that you can mentally deny something while your body continues responding to it anyway. You can say, "I'm fine," and still sleep poorly every night. You can say, "It doesn't bother me," and still carry constant tension in your shoulders and jaw. You can tell yourself, "I'll deal with it later." Meanwhile, your nervous system is already dealing with it now. This is where many people misunderstand stress completely. They think stress only exists when they consciously feel overwhelmed. But the body reacts long before the mind fully processes what is happening. That's because your body is designed for survival first, interpretation second. If your environment feels unsafe, unstable, unpredictable, or emotionally exhausting for long enough, your nervous system adapts automatically. Not because you chose it consciously, because adaptation is biological. And once the body adapts to chronic stress, strange things start feeling normal. Hypervigilance becomes normal. Overthinking becomes normal. Constant mental noise becomes normal. Emotional numbness becomes normal. Shallow breathing becomes normal. Many people are not relaxed anymore. They are merely distracted from their stress temporarily. There is a difference. Distraction suppresses awareness. Recovery restores the system. Modern life gives people endless distraction, but very little genuine recovery. That's why someone can spend an entire weekend consuming entertainment and still feel exhausted afterward. The nervous system was stimulated the whole time, not restored. This is also why unresolved emotional stress often appears physically. The body stores patterns. A person living under constant pressure may unconsciously tighten their muscles all day. Someone emotionally overwhelmed may develop chronic fatigue. Someone constantly anxious may experience digestive problems, insomnia, headaches, or difficulty concentrating. Not because the symptoms are imaginary, because the mind and body are not separate systems. Your thoughts affect your chemistry. Your chemistry affects your emotions. Your nervous system affects how safe or unsafe reality feels. Everything interacts. This is why emotional suppression is rarely free. You can suppress awareness mentally for a while. Your body still absorbs the pressure. Imagine shaking a bottle of soda repeatedly while keeping the cap tightly closed. From the outside, nothing dramatic appears immediately, but pressure is still building internally. Human beings do something similar psychologically. People suppress exhaustion, suppress sadness, suppress fear, suppress grief, suppress stress, not because they are weak, because many environments train people to disconnect from themselves in order to function. Some families normalize emotional suppression. Some workplaces reward self-neglect. Some cultures glorify endurance over self-awareness. Over time, people become highly skilled at abandoning their own internal signals. And eventually they stop recognizing what healthy even feels like. This is why many people only realize how stressed they were after finally experiencing real rest. The contrast exposes the damage. They suddenly notice how tense they normally are, how shallow their breathing became, how exhausted their baseline state actually was. That realization can feel shocking because the body adapts gradually enough to hide decline. And the longer stress becomes normalized, the more people start building identity around survival behaviors. They become the busy one, the strong one, the productive one, the reliable one. But beneath those identities, many people are deeply tired. Not just physically, mentally tired from constant pressure, emotionally tired from never slowing down, nervous system tired from always being alert. And because modern environments rarely encourage reflection, people often mistake coping mechanisms for personality. Someone constantly overstimulated may think they hate silence. Someone emotionally disconnected may think they don't feel much. Someone trapped in survival mode may think they are simply ambitious. But many behaviors are adaptations before they become identities. That is an important distinction, because adaptations can be changed once they are recognized. Awareness is where recovery begins. Not perfection, not optimization, not fixing your entire life overnight. Just honest awareness. Awareness that your body has been responding to everything you repeatedly expose it to. The stress, the environment, the pace, the pressure, the emotional weight, the lack of recovery. And maybe the most important realization is this: your body is not trying to punish you with symptoms. Symptoms are often communication. Fatigue communicates overload. Anxiety communicates dysregulation. Burnout communicates depletion. Emotional numbness communicates disconnection. The body is constantly giving feedback about the life you are living. The problem is that many people only listen once the signals become impossible to ignore. But the signals were usually there long before the collapse arrived. Quietly, consistently, patiently, the body keeps score whether you pay attention or not. The question is whether you learn to notice the pattern before the cost becomes too high. The silent warning signs most people normalize. The body rarely jumps from healthy to broken overnight. Usually, there is a long middle phase where something feels slightly off, but not serious enough to force attention. That middle phase is where most people live for years. Tired, but functioning. Stressed, but productive. Disconnected, but still moving. And because the symptoms are subtle, people normalize them instead of investigating them. This is how warning signs become personality traits. Someone says, "I'm always tired," as if permanent exhaustion is simply who they are now. Another person says, "I can't sleep properly anymore," but they continue overstimulating themselves every night because poor sleep has become routine. Someone else constantly feels anxious, restless, emotionally reactive, or mentally foggy, but assumes adulthood simply feels this way. Over time, repeated discomfort becomes background noise. The body whispers so consistently that eventually the mind stops listening. This is one reason chronic stress becomes dangerous. Not because it always feels dramatic, because it slowly changes your baseline. Imagine walking into a room with a bad smell. At first, you notice it immediately, but after enough time, your brain adapts and stops registering it consciously. The smell did not disappear. Your awareness adjusted. The body does something similar with stress. When tension becomes constant, you stop recognizing tension itself. You only recognize moments where tension becomes unbearable. That adaptation creates a dangerous illusion. If this feels normal, maybe nothing is wrong. But normalization is not evidence of health. People normalize brain fog, poor posture, low energy, irritability, constant stimulation, digestive discomfort, tight muscles, emotional numbness, lack of focus, difficulty resting. And because these symptoms are widespread, many assume they are unavoidable. But common does not mean healthy. A lot of modern lifestyles quietly push the nervous system beyond what it was designed to handle continuously. Constant notifications, continuous comparison, information overload, artificial light late at night, sedentary routines, emotional pressure without recovery. The body absorbs all of it, not morally, biologically. And the difficult part is that the body often prioritizes immediate survival over long-term well-being. That means you can keep operating while slowly draining your internal resources. You may still appear functional externally while internally becoming less resilient over time. Less patience, less emotional capacity, less ability to recover, less ability to focus deeply, less ability to feel calm naturally. This is why many people no longer remember what genuine rest even feels like. Their nervous system has spent so long in low-grade stress that relaxation feels unfamiliar. Some people even feel guilty when resting. They sit down for a moment and immediately feel pressure to become productive again, not because someone is actively forcing them, because their body has adapted to constant performance mode, and eventually, stillness starts feeling unsafe. That is one of the clearest signs that recovery has been neglected too long. A healthy nervous system can move between effort and rest naturally. An overloaded nervous system struggles to stop scanning for pressure. This also explains why some people wake up already exhausted. Sleep alone does not guarantee recovery. A person can technically sleep for 8 hours while remaining mentally overstimulated, emotionally tense, or physiologically stressed. Recovery depends on whether the body actually feels safe enough to restore itself deeply. And many people never fully leave stress mode long enough for genuine recovery to happen. This creates a strange cycle. The more exhausted someone becomes, the more they rely on stimulation to function. More caffeine, more scrolling, more noise, more distraction, more urgency. But stimulation is not recovery. It is borrowed energy. And borrowed energy always creates debt eventually. Another silent warning sign people ignore is emotional flattening. Not intense sadness, just absence. Things stop feeling meaningful. Conversations feel draining. Hobbies stop feeling enjoyable. Presence disappears. Many people assume this is laziness or lack of gratitude, but often it is depletion. The nervous system conserves energy when overload continues too long. This is why burnout does not always look emotional. Sometimes it looks like indifference. And maybe the hardest part about silent warning signs is that nobody else can fully measure them for you. You can appear completely okay externally while internally struggling to hold yourself together. People will still expect performance because performance is all they can see. That is why self-awareness matters. Because your body usually notices imbalance before your identity does, before your goals do, before your schedule does, before your social image does. The body notices first. The question is whether you learn to listen while the signals are still quiet, or whether you wait until the body has no choice but to interrupt your life loudly. Stress changes the body more than people think. Most people think of stress as a feeling, something mental, something emotional, something that exists mostly in your thoughts. But stress is physical long before you consciously describe it that way. Your body does not separate life problems from biology. It responds to pressure chemically. When your nervous system detects stress, your body releases hormones designed to help you survive immediate threats. Your heart rate changes, muscles tighten, attention narrows. Energy gets redirected towards short-term survival. This response is useful in emergencies. The problem is that modern stress rarely ends cleanly. The human nervous system evolved to handle temporary danger. Run from something, fight something, escape something, recover afterward. But many people now live inside forms of stress that never fully resolve. Financial pressure, constant notifications, emotional instability, work overload, social comparison, information saturation, uncertainty about the future. The body reacts to these pressures even when you are sitting still. That is why someone can feel exhausted after doing nothing physically all day. Mental pressure is still pressure, and the body keeps paying for it internally. This is where people start misunderstanding themselves. They assume they are weak because simple things suddenly feel difficult. Conversations feel draining. Small tasks feel overwhelming. Focus disappears faster. Patience shortens. Motivation becomes inconsistent. But often the system itself is overloaded. Stress consumes resources. And when stress becomes chronic, The body starts reallocating energy away from long-term repair towards short-term survival. This matters more than most people realize, because your body cannot prioritize everything equally at the same time. If survival mode stays active too long, recovery quality decreases. Sleep becomes lighter. Digestion becomes weaker. Inflammation increases. Immune function becomes less efficient. Mental clarity drops. This is why prolonged stress changes not only how you feel, but how you function. And because these changes happen gradually, many people blame their character instead of recognizing physiological overload. They think, I'm becoming lazy. I lost my drive. I'm less disciplined than before. But a constantly stressed nervous system struggles to access calm, focus naturally. You cannot permanently run a system in emergency mode without consequences. Imagine revving a car engine aggressively every day without proper maintenance. Eventually, the machine begins wearing down faster. The body is not different simply because it is biological. In fact, biology is even more sensitive because your emotional state directly affects the system operating underneath your life. This is why unresolved stress eventually changes behavior. People become more reactive, more impulsive, more emotionally sensitive, less patient, more dependent on distraction. Not because they suddenly became worse people, because exhausted systems regulate themselves poorly. And one of the most overlooked effects of chronic stress is how it narrows perception. When the body feels overloaded constantly, survival becomes priority. Long-term thinking weakens. Creativity decreases. Curiosity fades. Presence disappears. The mind becomes focused on getting through the day instead of actually experiencing life deeply. This is why burnout often feels emotionally empty. Not dramatic, just reduced. Reduced energy, reduced joy, reduced emotional range, reduced connection to yourself. Stress slowly shrinks your internal capacity when recovery never fully happens. And modern culture unintentionally reinforces this cycle. People admire people who can tolerate pressure endlessly. But tolerance is not the same thing as health. Someone can become highly functional while deeply dysregulated internally. That person may still perform well publicly while privately feeling exhausted, disconnected, or emotionally unstable. This is why many high-achieving people eventually reach strange moments where success no longer feels rewarding. The body can continue producing long after the nervous system stops feeling safe. And when safety disappears internally, fulfillment becomes difficult to access consistently. Another thing many people overlook is that stress changes habits automatically. When exhausted, people usually choose easier stimulation. Junk food, mindless scrolling, avoidance, distraction, dopamine-heavy behaviors. Not because they are morally weak, because exhausted brains seek fast relief. This creates another cycle. Stress increases exhaustion. Exhaustion increases unhealthy coping. Unhealthy coping reduces recovery quality. Reduced recovery increases stress again. Over time, many people stop living intentionally and start reacting automatically. That is what chronic stress does. It reduces conscious capacity. And maybe the most important thing to understand is this. The body does not care whether your stress is valid compared to someone else's. Many people minimize their own exhaustion because someone else has it worse. But your nervous system responds to what it experiences repeatedly, not to guilt comparisons. If your body feels overloaded, the effects are real. This is not an excuse to avoid responsibility. It is an invitation to become more aware of how your internal systems actually work. Because once you understand stress as biological instead of purely emotional, you stop treating recovery like optional self-care. You start seeing it as system maintenance, not indulgence, not laziness, not weakness, maintenance. And a neglected system eventually forces attention whether you willingly give it or not. Sleep is not resting your mind. It's repairing your entire system. Most people think of sleep as a pause button. You get tired. You sleep. You wake up. Repeat. But sleep is not passive inactivity. It is one of the most active repair processes your body performs. And modern people are destroying it while treating the consequences like personality flaws. When you sleep properly, your body begins repairing damage accumulated throughout the day. Muscles recover. Hormones rebalance. Memory gets organized. The brain clears metabolic waste. The nervous system regulates itself. Immune function strengthens. Cells repair microscopic damage. Your body uses sleep like a nightly maintenance window. And the important part is this. You cannot consciously replace what sleep does biologically. Not with caffeine, not with motivation, not with discipline, not with productivity hacks. You can temporarily override exhaustion. You cannot bypass repair. That is why sleep deprivation affects nearly every part of human functioning. Thinking becomes slower. Emotional regulation weakens. Stress tolerance decreases. Decision-making worsens. Recovery slows down. Cravings increase. Motivation becomes unstable. And because the decline happens gradually, many people stop realizing how impaired they actually are. Sleep deprivation feels normal when it becomes chronic. This is why someone can go years without realizing how exhausted their baseline state truly became. Then they finally experience deep recovery for the first time in a long time and suddenly think, I forgot what feeling normal actually feels like. That realization is more common than people admit. A lot of modern adults are not functioning from full recovery. They are functioning from managed exhaustion. And society unintentionally reinforces this. People brag about sleeping less, working longer, staying busy constantly. But the body does not interpret sleep deprivation as ambition. It interprets it as stress. This matters because the brain changes under poor sleep. A sleep-deprived brain becomes more emotionally reactive, more impulsive, more anxious, less resilient. Small problems start feeling larger than they actually are because the nervous system loses recovery capacity. This is why poor sleep affects relationships too. People become less patient, less emotionally available, less able to regulate frustration. A tired nervous system struggles to stay grounded. And maybe the most dangerous part is that sleep deprivation damages self-awareness itself. The more exhausted people become, the worse they become at accurately evaluating their own condition. That creates a strange cycle. Someone who desperately needs recovery often convinces themselves they are fine enough to continue pushing harder, until the body interrupts more aggressively. Burnout, illness, emotional collapse, severe fatigue, mental breakdown. The body eventually forces recovery one way or another. And one reason modern sleep has become so damaged is because people no longer give the nervous system a true transition into rest. Artificial light, constant stimulation, endless scrolling, late-night stress, notifications, information overload. Many people spend the final hour before sleep overstimulating the exact system they expect to calm down naturally afterward. Imagine revving a car engine aggressively and expecting it to instantly power down smoothly the second you stop. The nervous system works similarly. The body needs signals of safety before deep recovery can happen properly. Darkness, reduced stimulation, mental slowing, physical relaxation, consistency. Without those signals, the body often stays partially alert even during sleep. This is why some people sleep long hours but still wake up exhausted. The body was unconscious. The system was not fully recovering. Another thing people overlook is that sleep is deeply connected to emotional processing. A lot of unresolved emotional tension becomes louder at night because distraction finally disappears. During the day, people stay busy enough to suppress awareness. But in silence, the nervous system finally has space to surface what was ignored. That is why many people suddenly feel anxious, restless, emotionally heavy, or mentally loud the moment they lie down. The body has stopped receiving distraction input. And for some people, exhaustion becomes so normalized that rest itself starts feeling uncomfortable. They feel guilty resting, restless while relaxing, compelled to check their phone constantly, unable to sit quietly, not because they are broken, because their nervous system adapted to constant stimulation for too long. Stillness became unfamiliar. This is why genuine recovery requires more than just sleep duration. It requires safety. A body that never feels safe enough to fully relax cannot repair itself deeply. And modern life gives many people very few moments where the nervous system genuinely stops preparing for the next demand. That is why sleep is not simply recharging. It is one of the only periods where the body can temporarily stop prioritizing survival and redirect energy toward restoration. Which means every time you consistently sacrifice sleep, you are not merely losing hours. You are reducing repair time. And eventually, the body begins carrying more unresolved stress and damage into each new day. This is why poor sleep slowly changes how life feels. Colors feel duller. Patience becomes thinner. Thinking feels heavier. Presence weakens. Hope decreases. People often interpret these changes psychologically, but many times, the biology underneath the experience has already been exhausted for too long. And maybe one of the simplest but most important truths is this: a well-rested nervous system experiences reality differently than an exhausted one. The same life can feel manageable or overwhelming depending on the condition of the system experiencing it. Your nervous system learns from your environment. Most people think their personality is fixed. I'm just an anxious person. I've always been restless. I'm naturally unmotivated. I can't relax. But many of the patterns people call personality are actually adaptations. Your nervous system learns from repeated experience. If your environment constantly teaches your body that life is unpredictable, overwhelming, emotionally unsafe, or overstimulating, your system adapts around those conditions. Not because something is wrong with you, because survival requires adjustment. This is one of the most important things to understand about the human body. Your nervous system is always learning what to expect from life. And eventually, expectation becomes baseline. A person raised around constant conflict may become hyper-alert automatically. Someone exposed to nonstop pressure may struggle to relax even when nothing urgent is happening. Someone living inside constant stimulation may lose the ability to focus deeply without distraction. The body learns patterns through repetition. And once those patterns become automatic, people mistake adaptation for identity. That changes how you see yourself. You stop saying, "My nervous system adapted to stress," and start saying, "This is just who I am." But the body is more flexible than people realize. Many behaviors are trained responses before they become permanent traits. This is why environments matter so much. Your surroundings are constantly shaping your nervous system, whether you notice it or not. Noise levels, sleep quality, social relationships, digital consumption, work pace, emotional stability, physical movement, amount of sunlight, level of safety. The body absorbs information from all of it continuously. And the nervous system is not logical in the way people assume. It does not only react to physical danger, it reacts to patterns, uncertainty, instability, constant interruption, emotional unpredictability, overload without recovery. When those conditions repeat long enough, the body starts preparing for stress automatically, even when no immediate threat exists. That is why some people feel anxious during completely ordinary moments. The nervous system learned to stay ready. And unfortunately, modern environments train chronic overstimulation exceptionally well. Constant notifications teach fragmented attention. Endless scrolling trains dopamine dependence. Fast content reduces patience for stillness. Continuous comparison creates low-grade emotional pressure. Many people now live inside environments their nervous system never fully gets to recover from. That matters because the body eventually adapts to the speed of the environment surrounding it. If life constantly feels urgent, the body learns urgency. And once urgency becomes baseline, slowing down starts feeling uncomfortable. This is why some people feel restless the moment nothing is happening. Silence feels strange. Stillness feels boring. Rest feels unproductive. Not because humans naturally hate peace, because the nervous system became conditioned to stimulation. Imagine living next to a loud train track for years. At first, the noise feels overwhelming. Eventually, your brain filters it into the background, but your body may still carry the stress load physically even if conscious awareness fades. Modern life works similarly. People become adapted to constant cognitive noise without realizing how much it affects them internally. This also explains why changing environments can feel emotionally powerful. A calm room, a quiet morning, nature, deep conversation, a phone-free evening. Sometimes people suddenly feel emotional in peaceful environments because their nervous system finally experiences reduced pressure for the first time in a long time. The body notices safety before the mind fully explains it. And this is where many people misunderstand healing. They think healing is purely mental. Positive thinking, motivation, mindset shifts. But nervous systems change through repeated experience, not just intellectual understanding. You cannot think your body into feeling safe while repeatedly exposing it to environments that keep it dysregulated. The system learns through consistency. That means your daily life matters more than occasional motivation. The routines you repeat, the environments you tolerate, the stimulation you consume, the relationships surrounding you. All of it teaches your nervous system what normal feels like. And eventually, the body organizes itself around that version of normal. This is why some people unknowingly build lifestyles that continuously exhaust them while wondering why recovery never lasts. You cannot heal effectively inside patterns that constantly recreate the same overload. The environment keeps retraining the stress response. And maybe one of the most important realizations is this: your body is always adapting to the conditions you repeatedly live inside. If your environment constantly creates pressure, your nervous system adapts around pressure. If your environment allows recovery, your nervous system slowly relearns safety. That does not mean life becomes perfect. Stress will always exist. But there is a major difference between temporary stress and living inside conditions that train your body to never fully relax. A healthy nervous system is not one that never experiences difficulty. It is one that can return to balance afterward. And many people have not returned to balance in years. They have only continued functioning. That distinction changes everything once you finally see it clearly. The modern lifestyle is constantly overstimulating your body. Most people think exhaustion comes from doing too much physically. But modern exhaustion is often cognitive and neurological before it is physical. Your body is processing more stimulation in a single day than many people historically processed in weeks. Notifications, messages, videos, news, advertisements, algorithms competing for attention, endless comparison, constant noise, infinite information. And the nervous system was never designed for nonstop input without interruption. That matters because attention is not free. Every notification slightly pulls on your nervous system. Every interruption forces mental reorientation. Every emotionally charged piece of content creates physiological responses. The body reacts even when you think you are just scrolling. This is why people can spend hours online doing almost nothing physically and still feel mentally exhausted afterward. The brain was working constantly, switching attention, processing stimulation, managing emotional reactions, filtering information, anticipating more input. Modern overstimulation quietly fragments attention until many people lose the ability to feel mentally present for long periods of time. And because overstimulation became normal, many people no longer recognize what calm attention even feels like. Silence feels empty. Stillness feels uncomfortable. Slow activities feel boring. Not because humans naturally dislike peace, because the nervous system adapted to high-speed stimulation. This is one reason deep focus became rare. The brain learns whatever patterns you repeat consistently. If your attention constantly shifts every few seconds, your nervous system gradually loses tolerance for sustained concentration. You see this everywhere now. People struggle to watch a movie without checking their phone, struggle to sit quietly, struggle to read deeply, struggle to think without stimulation playing in the background. And over time, many people stop experiencing life directly. They experience life through interruption. This affects emotional health more than people realize. A constantly overstimulated nervous system struggles to regulate itself properly. That means higher stress sensitivity, reduced patience, more emotional reactivity, lower frustration tolerance, difficulty relaxing naturally. And because stimulation creates temporary dopamine spikes, many people accidentally train themselves to seek relief through more stimulation instead of genuine recovery. That distinction matters. Stimulation feels good temporarily. Recovery restores capacity long-term. Scrolling may distract exhaustion for an hour. It does not repair the exhausted system underneath. This creates one of the strangest modern problems. People spend enormous amounts of time trying to escape exhaustion through behaviors that continue exhausting them. More content, more noise, more distraction, more consumption. But the nervous system never fully gets silenced long enough to recalibrate. Imagine trying to heal a wound while constantly reopening it every few minutes. That is how many people treat their attention and nervous system daily. Another thing overstimulation changes is emotional awareness. When your attention is constantly occupied externally, you stop noticing your internal state clearly. You stop asking, how do I actually feel? What is my body trying to communicate? Am I genuinely okay right now? There is always another distraction ready before self-awareness fully appears. And this is why many people suddenly feel emotionally overwhelmed during moments of forced stillness. A quiet drive, a sleepless night, a vacation, a power outage, a long shower. The stimulation finally decreases enough for buried exhaustion to become visible. This is also why creativity often disappears under chronic overstimulation. Creativity requires mental space, reflection, stillness, attention, presence. But many modern environments train reaction, not reflection. People become consumers of constant input instead of participants in their own internal life. And eventually the nervous system starts feeling crowded all the time. Too much noise, too much urgency, too much information, too many unfinished thoughts. This is why many people feel tired even when they technically rested. The body stopped working physically. The mind never stopped processing. And maybe the most dangerous part of overstimulation is how invisible it becomes. Because everyone around you is overstimulated too. Constant phone checking becomes normal. Fragmented attention becomes normal. Emotional fatigue becomes normal. Mental exhaustion becomes normal. But normalization does not remove the biological cost. The human nervous system still requires periods of reduced input to regulate properly. Stillness is not useless. Quiet is not laziness. Mental space is not wasted time. These are conditions the body needs in order to recover clarity and balance. And maybe one of the most important realizations modern people can have is this. Your attention is not just a productivity tool. It is part of your biological health. What repeatedly captures your attention shapes your nervous system over time, which means the environments, platforms, habits, and stimulation you expose yourself to daily are not only influencing your thoughts, they are influencing the condition of the system experiencing your entire life. Why exhaustion feels normal to so many people. One of the most dangerous things about chronic exhaustion is that it rarely feels dramatic after a while. At first, you notice it clearly. You feel unusually tired. Your focus weakens. Your patience decreases. Rest stops feeling fully restorative. But as weeks become months, and months become years, the body adapts. And eventually, exhaustion stops feeling abnormal. It starts feeling like your personality. This is how people quietly lose connection with what healthy actually feels like. They no longer compare themselves to true recovery. They compare themselves to their already exhausted baseline. That changes everything. Imagine lowering the brightness on a screen slowly over time. If the change happens gradually enough, your eyes adapt and stop noticing how dim things became. Exhaustion works similarly. People slowly adjust to low energy, constant stress, poor sleep, mental fatigue, emotional numbness, overstimulation. And because the decline happens incrementally, awareness disappears before the damage does. This is why many people become shocked after finally experiencing real recovery again. A few days of deep rest, a calmer environment, proper sleep, reduced stimulation. Suddenly they realize, I didn't know how exhausted I actually was. That realization can feel emotional because it exposes how long the body was operating below healthy capacity. And modern life makes this normalization extremely easy. Everyone around you is tired too. People joke about burnout constantly. Stress becomes small talk. Being overwhelmed becomes expected. Sleep deprivation becomes normal adult behavior. So exhaustion stops looking like a warning sign and starts looking like participation in modern life itself. That is psychologically dangerous, because humans naturally calibrate normal through social environments. If everyone around you is dysregulated, dysregulation starts feeling ordinary. This is one reason people ignore their body for so long. Nothing feels alarming enough compared to the people surrounding them. But the body does not measure health socially. It measures load biologically, and biological debt accumulates whether or not exhaustion became culturally accepted. Another reason exhaustion becomes normalized is because modern people rarely stop moving long enough to feel it fully. Distraction masks depletion temporarily. Caffeine, scrolling, entertainment, work, noise, urgency. These things create enough stimulation to keep people functioning artificially. But stimulation is not the same thing as energy. Real energy feels steady. Exhaustion hidden by stimulation feels unstable. That is why many people crash emotionally the moment stimulation disappears. A quiet weekend suddenly feels empty. A vacation feels emotionally strange. Silence feels uncomfortable. The nervous system finally loses the distractions that were helping suppress awareness. And this creates another problem. Many people only recognize exhaustion when their performance starts collapsing, not when their joy disappears, not when their emotional stability weakens, not when they stop feeling fully present in life, only when productivity suffers. That says a lot about how disconnected modern people became from themselves. Performance becomes the measurement, not well-being. As long as someone can still work, answer messages, or complete obligations, they assume they are fine enough. Meanwhile, the body may already be deeply depleted. This is why high-functioning exhaustion is so deceptive. Someone can look completely capable externally while internally feeling emotionally detached, mentally overloaded, and physically drained. And because they continue functioning, nobody notices. Sometimes not even the person themselves. This also explains why many people become emotionally flat over time. The nervous system conserves energy during prolonged overload. When recovery never fully happens, the body starts prioritizing survival efficiency. That can reduce emotional range. People stop feeling excited, stop feeling inspired, stop feeling deeply connected. Life becomes maintenance instead of experience. Wake up, function, distract yourself, sleep, repeat. And because this routine becomes familiar, people assume adulthood simply feels empty. But often the issue is not life itself. The issue is that the system experiencing life has been exhausted for too long. An exhausted nervous system interprets reality differently than a regulated one. Small problems feel bigger. Hope feels weaker. Motivation feels harder to access. Relationships feel heavier. Creativity feels distant. The body changes the texture of your experience more than most people realize. This is why recovery is not merely physical repair. Recovery changes perception. A regulated nervous system experiences more patience, clarity, presence, emotional stability, and resilience naturally. Not because life suddenly became easier, because the system experiencing life regained capacity. And maybe this is one of the most important realizations in all of this. You do not need to completely collapse before your exhaustion deserves attention. A lot of people wait for breakdowns because they think suffering only becomes real once it becomes catastrophic. But your body was already communicating long before collapse arrived. The signals were just quieter. And if you learn to recognize those quieter signals earlier, you stop treating recovery like emergency repair after damage becomes unbearable. You start treating it like ongoing respect for the system carrying your entire life experience every single day. Your body was built to help you survive, not constantly ignore itself. One of the hardest truths for modern people to accept is this. Your body can survive conditions that are slowly destroying your quality of life. That is why people stay inside unhealthy patterns for years while still appearing functional. The body is incredibly adaptive. It will keep trying to protect you long after you start neglecting yourself. That sounds comforting at first, but it also creates a dangerous illusion. Because survival is not the same thing as living well. A person can survive while feeling emotionally disconnected, survive while constantly anxious, survive while exhausted every morning, survive while slowly losing presence, curiosity, and joy. The body keeps adapting because staying alive is the priority, not happiness. Not fulfillment, not peace, survival first. And this is why many people do not recognize damage until their life starts feeling emotionally empty. The body compensated for so long that dysfunction became normal. Think about someone walking with a small injury. At first, the pain feels obvious. But if they keep walking that way long enough, the body starts adjusting movement patterns to compensate. Different muscles become overused. Posture changes. Tension spreads elsewhere. Eventually, the person may stop noticing the original injury because adaptation took over. But compensation is not healing. Modern people do something similar psychologically. They compensate endlessly, overstimulate themselves to avoid emotional exhaustion, stay busy to avoid stillness, work constantly to avoid feeling inadequate, distract themselves to avoid confronting burnout. And because the body adapts, they continue functioning. But internally, more strain accumulates over time. This is why some people eventually reach strange moments where they technically have everything they thought they wanted: success, productivity, money, recognition, yet still feel disconnected from themselves. Because the body can maintain output while losing internal balance. And once internal balance disappears, life stops feeling fully alive. Everything becomes mechanical. Wake up, perform, consume, distract, sleep, repeat. No real presence. No deep recovery. No emotional spaciousness. Just continuous maintenance of survival mode. This is where many people begin confusing numbness with maturity. They think, this is adulthood. Life just becomes dull. Everyone feels this way eventually. But many times, the body has simply spent too many years prioritizing survival over restoration. An overloaded nervous system reduces unnecessary energy expenditure. And unfortunately, emotional depth often becomes one of the first things reduced. Not because your emotions disappeared, because the system became too exhausted to process them fully. This is why people often feel emotionally flat during chronic stress. Not intensely sad, just disconnected. Disconnected from excitement. Disconnected from meaning. Disconnected from themselves. And this can become frightening because people start believing they permanently lost parts of who they used to be. But often the issue is not identity. It is depletion. A chronically stressed body cannot access the same emotional range as a regulated one. This is also why healing can feel surprisingly emotional at first. When the nervous system finally experiences safety, suppressed exhaustion often surfaces all at once. People suddenly cry more easily, feel emotions more deeply, notice how tired they truly are. Not because recovery is making them weaker, because the body finally stopped spending all its energy suppressing awareness. And maybe this is one of the most important things people misunderstand about self-care and recovery. The goal is not becoming perfectly healthy. The goal is rebuilding enough internal balance that your body no longer needs to stay in survival mode constantly. That changes how you experience everything. Food tastes different. Conversations feel different. Sleep feels different. Creativity returns. Presence returns. Patience returns. Not because life suddenly became easy, because the system experiencing life finally regained capacity. And this is why ignoring the body for too long becomes so costly. The body keeps adapting quietly until adaptation itself becomes suffering. You continue surviving, but stop fully feeling alive. That is the real danger of chronic exhaustion. Not immediate collapse, gradual disconnection becoming your normal state. And maybe the deepest realization in all of this is understanding that your body was never your enemy. It has been trying to protect you this entire time, even through stress, even through burnout, even through exhaustion, even through years of overload. Your body kept compensating because it wanted you to survive long enough to recover. The question is whether you eventually learn to cooperate with it instead of constantly forcing it to endure more than it was designed to carry alone. Recovery begins when you stop fighting your own body. Most people try to improve their life by forcing themselves harder. More discipline, more pressure, more productivity, more self-criticism. And sometimes that works temporarily, but eventually many people reach a point where force stops working. Not because they became weak, because the system underneath their life became exhausted. This is where recovery begins changing meaning. Recovery is not simply taking a break. It is rebuilding cooperation between you and your body. That sounds simple, but for many people, it feels unfamiliar. Because they spent years treating their body like a machine that exists purely to produce output. Ignore fatigue, override stress, suppress emotions, push through exhaustion, and eventually the relationship becomes adversarial. The body keeps sending signals. The mind keeps silencing them, until the signals become impossible to ignore. This is why healing often starts with awareness before action. You begin noticing things you previously normalized. How tense your body constantly feels. How quickly your attention escapes silence. How exhausted your baseline state became. How uncomfortable rest feels. And at first, this awareness can feel discouraging. Many people suddenly realize how disconnected they have been from themselves for years. But awareness is not failure. Awareness is the beginning of reconnection. Because you cannot care for a system you refuse to notice honestly. And one of the most important shifts people experience during recovery is understanding that the body responds better to cooperation than punishment. Think about how people treat injured animals. You do not scream at a wounded animal to heal faster. You create conditions where healing becomes possible. Safety, rest, nutrition, calm, time. Human nervous systems are not different simply because humans are psychologically complex. The body still responds to conditions. And this is why sustainable recovery usually looks less dramatic than people expect. Not extreme transformations overnight, not becoming optimized, not fixing your entire life instantly. Usually recovery begins quietly, sleeping slightly better, breathing more deeply, feeling less reactive, having moments of mental clarity again, feeling present during simple conversations, noticing small joy returning slowly. At first, these changes can seem insignificant, but they matter because they signal something important. The nervous system is beginning to feel safer, and safety changes everything biologically. A safer nervous system regulates emotions more effectively, recovers more deeply, thinks more clearly, handles stress with greater resilience. This is why people often become more patient, emotionally stable, and mentally clear after periods of genuine recovery. Not because they suddenly became better people, because the system underneath their behavior regained capacity. And maybe this is one of the most misunderstood things about healing. Recovery does not always feel productive initially. Sometimes it feels slow, quiet, emotionally uncomfortable. Because when stimulation decreases, awareness increases. People finally notice how tired they really are, how much pressure they carry, how disconnected they became from themselves. That realization can feel heavy at first, but it is also honest. And honest awareness is healthier than endlessly numbing yourself while pretending everything is fine. This is why real recovery often requires reducing unnecessary pressure instead of endlessly increasing self-control. Less stimulation, less noise, less overcommitment, less constant urgency. Not because responsibility disappears, because overloaded systems need space to regulate again. This is also where many people struggle emotionally. They believe slowing down means falling behind. But constantly operating from exhaustion is already costing them more than they realize. It costs clarity, creativity, patience, presence, emotional stability, quality of relationships, ability to enjoy life itself. Many people are sacrificing the experience of being alive in order to maintain the appearance of functioning. Eventually, that trade becomes unbearable. And maybe one of the most mature things a person can learn is this: your body is not asking you to become perfect. It is asking you to stop treating exhaustion like proof of worth. You do not need to earn basic recovery. You do not need permission to rest. You do not need complete collapse before your pain becomes valid. The body has been trying to communicate this entire time. Through fatigue, through tension, through burnout, through emotional overload, through inability to recover fully. Not to punish you, to protect you. And recovery truly begins the moment you stop seeing those signals as obstacles to productivity and start seeing them as information about how your life is affecting the system carrying you through it. Because your body was never designed to endlessly survive without support. It was designed to recover too. And the moment you finally allow recovery to become part of your life, instead of something postponed forever, your relationship with yourself begins changing completely.